Wilder Show podcast. I'm Scott. That's Lauren.
Hello.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff in the news.
Happy Quitter's Day.
Oh, yeah, it's
We'll
very
get
good.
to that a little bit later. I have some observations.
But no, in fact, we will continue the podcast into next week. Instagram, you'll find us on Instagram. Just search Wilder Show Pod. If you want to send us an email, it's podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time or before on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I hope you will like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. In fact, right now, would you just click that thumbs up or the like or whatever, or forward it to a friend or even jot a note? Got some extra notes this last week. Appreciate that. It's fun to hear from you. And we're also on the TikTok now and again. You can find us there. Just search Wilder Show or Wilder Show Podcast. Okay. The order of things today, I do feel some need to say I'm not going to miss one of these, so I want to lay it out there pretty quickly. We have to talk about Venezuela, a little follow-up there, not much. Have to talk about what it has birthed. It has birthed a conversation about Greenland, and we'll talk about that. But first, we have to talk about Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota. Can I just give an overview real quick? We know that a woman, mother of three, was shot and killed by an ICE officer.
Right.
We know that the ICE officer 6 months ago was dragged by a car and ended up needing 35 or 50 stitches in his left leg.
Mm-hmm.
So a protester at a previous protest.
Is that how that happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the same thing. Dragged him. So you
He's
think
familiar with
what happens when a car
the
is coming at
dangers
you.
of something like that. Yeah.
He fires the gun. He kills her. One of the bullets goes through the windshield into the driver. So we know at that moment he was in front of the car.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't on the side. He wasn't behind. He was in front of the car. Then the car did make contact with him. So those are the things we do know. We don't know a whole bunch more.
Right.
And so there's going to be an investigation. And the truth is, no matter what the investigation finds, if you agree with the result, you'll think it's right. And if you disagree with the result, you'll think it's wrong, because that's the world we live in, sadly. What I think the deal is when you hear that there is a story, I think you have a preconceived notion of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a supporter of ICE, immigration reform, and those kinds of things, when you hear U.S. citizen shot and killed, according to some reports, she was running or driving toward and driving into the ICE officer. ICE officer fires a gun. She dies. Those are the facts. If you're preconceived to support ICE, what you will think is, well, I don't know everything, but you know what? It's probably justified. Probably was. I've watched some of these protests, man. People are out of control. I mean, out of control. So, yeah, it's sad. It's tragic when somebody dies, but, you know, I think probably he didn't do anything wrong. That's what I think. That's a person who's predisposed. Now, I think that person, though, would follow that up with, but I do want to see the film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there are a couple of angles, I want to see all of them. Show me all the angles.
Or I want to know everything.
I want to know
there is
everything.
know
I
about how
don't.
it happened.
That's what I think is the deal, but I need to know more
Right.
before I can feel secure in my position. That's what I think the people on the conservative side would say. Not all, but I think some.
Yeah.
The other side, I do think they're interested in one additional piece of information. We'll get to that in a second. But when they hear an ICE officer has shot and killed a U.S. citizen, I don't think they need to know almost any more information that would change or modify their position. They are very secure. You see, this is what President Trump's doing. He is stoking the fire. Did the person run into the guy? Was it anything to mitigate? Don't need to know. There is one piece of information that would adjust their outrage, and it would only be adjusted upward if the right result is known. And what is that one additional piece of information liberals would want to know about an ICE officer shooting and killing someone in Minnesota, the same place where George Floyd was killed, what would be that additional thing they might want to know? The race of the person who was killed. Now, sadly for them, because the outrage can only go so high, she was white. They're kind of capped there on the outrage. But for them, it's enough. I mean, it's going to be big. They're not going to back off. I haven't seen a single person on the left, and I watch a lot of news that has people on the left. I haven't seen a single person on the left that has moved in their position away from that hardest position. I have seen plenty of people on the right that have moved away from that hardest position to say, you know what? I don't know. Do I think that she's a domestic terrorist? No. There are very specific things that make someone a domestic terrorist or make an act of domestic terrorism. No, it doesn't meet all those. Do I think she intended to kill him? No. I mean, I've seen a lot of movement from that very hard position. Now, it could still be the case that she did not mean to kill him, did not want to kill him, didn't really intend to run him over. He was in her way. She was going that way. She did hit him, but she didn't mean to kill him. She didn't want to kill him. That can still be true. And it could be true that the ICE officer didn't technically do anything wrong. He didn't break a law. People get trampled at concerts. Did the person who stepped on them or over them intend to murder them? No, and it's tragic and it's sad.
As long as we don't get to the point where we say, well, you know what happens? Bad things happen, to sort of make us feel better about something before we do everything in our power to make sure that it's been examined from every angle to be sure that it's not going to happen again by an ICE officer when their car comes to whatever.
When they are resisting arrest,
exactly.
when they're told to get out of your car, and they don't get out of their car. How many times do we have to learn that lesson?
Well, I understand.
If the police tell you to get out of your car, you get out of your car.
Yeah.
You don't talk about I'm a sovereign citizen, all that kind of nonsense you see on social media. If they tell you to get out of the car, you get out of the car. If they tell you to keep showing your hands, you show your hands. And when you don't do that, sometimes bad things happen. That lesson needs to be learned immediately for people between now and the end of the 3 or 4 independent investigations.
Yeah.
For those people who are out wondering, should I follow the instruction of police or should I not? And this is happening in Minnesota where they have sown, and this governor there has sown discord between the people and the police. That's one of the places they talked about defunding the police.
Yeah.
And things went crazy in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Okay, bring them back. I mean, there has been this sense of, hey, you know what? The police are the bad guys.
It bothers me to hear anybody say sometimes bad things happen. I mean, it's barely 24 hours old at the time that we're recording this. And I worry about us as a human race that we just that we get so calloused to things like this, regardless of who it happens to and whether or not we agree with their political position.
I have no idea what her political position even is.
I don't either, but
I just know that if
there are a lot of people who have already decided what her political position is without really
I don't know
it.
There is a story, and this will unfold. By the time you listen to this, it may not have come out, or it may have come out and it's not even true. There was some talk about this person, and I don't want to disparage. I mean, I'll sort of repeat what I said at the beginning. There will be an investigation. It's going to find everything. The downside is, if it comes out with something you disagree with, you're going to dismiss the investigation as not being good enough because it did conclude something you don't like.
You mean the collective you?
Yeah, that's
you mean
anyone.
Anybody who's examining
anyone, not
this,
you, not Lauren. Yeah. But this is what we talk about tribalism. If stuff comes out that I don't like, I reject that report. I don't care who made it because it's not true. Because if it was true, it would be something that I agree with, and I would agree with it if it was something true. But the fact that it comes out the other way, then no, it's not true. And if it comes out with something I agree with, then yeah, it's good because it agrees with me and I agree with it because it's true. It's a problem when we lose the ability to acknowledge truth that might be something that we disagree with. I don't think there's any indication in any news report that I've seen that he had an interest in murdering her.
I don't either. And I don't.
I do think there is some indication based on the footage that she did have an interest in moving him out of the way with her car. I mean, if you look at it and he's in front of her and she keeps moving forward until she makes contact with him, I don't know how you could conclude otherwise. Doesn't mean it doesn't. Again, it doesn't mean she meant to kill him. Doesn't mean she wanted even to hurt him. But she didn't follow instructions. When the police give you instructions, it'd be a good thing to just do it.
I agree. I think it goes along with your comments on tribalism, which I agree with 100%. We're just very quick to remove the personhood from everybody involved.
J.D. Vance came out hot in the press conference. I didn't like it. J.D. Vance was way too hot. Now, maybe everything he said was true. I have no idea. But that's the point. I don't have an idea. I don't know. Now, maybe he does know. Maybe. We'll see. An investigation will find out. Mm-hmm. But I am open to it being different than what my immediate inclination is.
Yeah.
And my grander point is I don't believe people on the left are open to that. I've not found that they are. Mm-hmm. They have an outrage of 100%. It's turned up to 10. And the only thing that would turn it up to 11 is if the white guy had shot a black person there in the land of George Floyd, so they could revisit all of that for the next midterms and then the general election, which they love to do. They're not backing off a bit. That doesn't mean we shouldn't. We should seek the truth and not worry about it. And so when I saw J.D. Vance, I thought, you're coming in hot, man. You're coming in hot. I didn't think it was good. He was in the press briefing room. He said some things that I wouldn't say. I might not even say them if they're true, because they just seemed, mean. Mm-hmm. Or mad. I didn't know he was mad. Maybe he's mad because he, back seat on the Venezuela thing. A lot of cameras. People have cameras everywhere. And there were cameras about what happened. Guess where also there was a camera?
Where?
On the uniform of the person who shot. Mm. So that might come out.
Sure.
And the final thing I'd say is I don't like either side baiting the other side. A lot of liberals say, look, in fact, Tim Walson, by the way, Tim Walson's got to be thrilled that the spotlight is no longer on him and the fraud in that state. But Tim Walson was saying, look, be peaceful. Don't give the president what he wants. Don't take the bait. Okay. What they're saying is the president wants you to be violent, and then he'll come in and take over. He'll have some right to do it, and we don't want him to do it. So be peaceful. And then when I watch it, I see a bunch of people that goad law enforcement, and then if law enforcement takes the bait, that gets captured. And see, they're out of control. Sometimes you have to see what happened, 5 minutes on either side.
Right.
You don't always know that. So anyway, that's it's still volatile. Everything's going on in Minnesota. Corruption, fraud, mayhem, protests. And it will all come out, whatever it is, in the investigation. Venezuela. There's not a lot really to say about Venezuela, I don't think, beyond what we talked about last time. Yeah. I mean, it's still about the same thing. The president's wondering, or being asked. He sat down for a 2.5, 3-hour interview with New York Times. So how long do you think we're going to be there in Venezuela? I mean, is it going to be weeks? Is it going to be months? And Trump said, quite a bit longer than that. So who knows where that's going, but it does bring us to the next topic, and that is Greenland. Do you remember Manifest Destiny? You learned Manifest Destiny. Mm-hmm. If you had to describe it or explain what it is, what is Manifest Destiny? We learned it in school, but how would you describe it to someone? I'm not sure it's taught in government schools anymore. I can't imagine that they do it, certainly not the way that it was taught to me or to us. Now, you took it way up there, and we took it down here. So yours might have been a little different from mine. But if you had to describe Manifest Destiny.
Yeah, I don't know that our textbooks were different necessarily. But I would say it's the theory that, I'm going to this place that I want to, I'm going to discover this land that I know it's there, but I don't think anybody else has been there and claimed it yet. And I get there and I find out, there are people here. But you know what? I kind of I sort of want it for my purposes. So we're going to take over and we'll take care of you, but it's not really your land. It's our land.
Divine mission. Belief that God intended for the U.S. to possess the entire continent. So we start in the east and just away we go. Expand across the North American continent. You're spreading our democracy and our capitalism. From the Atlantic to the Pacific, we justify acquisition, displace Native Americans, Indians, and it's just kind of the way it goes. Well, that fueled the whole Western expansion, led to things like the Mexican-American War. Of course, the indigenous peoples were uprooted. The national identity was shaped in part by the idea of this westward expansion, the American exceptionalism. We took the entire continent. It was a long time before we had Hawaii and Alaska. Well, we got Hawaii and Alaska, too. We'll talk about that in a second. So that is sort of like, well, we got the continent, so we're just going to stop there. But we didn't stop there. We have territories. So let's talk about Greenland for a second. Greenland. People are wondering, is the president going to put troops on the ground and take Greenland? The answer is no.
You don't think so?
I know he's not going to.
Okay.
Greenland is part of Denmark, or it's owned by Denmark. It's a territory of Denmark. Denmark is in NATO. Article 2 of NATO is, if anyone attacks one of the NATO countries, all the rest of NATO must band together and attack that country that is attacking the country, or get out of NATO. So it would bust up NATO, or the whole of NATO would be against then the United States of America. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
That's not going to happen. President is not going to put boots on the ground or anything else and take Greenland. That's one way, is you conquer it. Another way is you're invited to take it. Right? You're invited in. And the other way is that you buy it. You can buy it. We've had purchases before. The Louisiana Purchase is one. We were part of that. Texas was part of that.
Right.
The Louisiana Purchase. You know how much they paid for the Louisiana Purchase?
Some ridiculously low amount.
It's a long time ago. Who do we buy it from? Do you remember?
I don't.
It was 1803, and we bought 828,000 square miles of territory. We bought it from France.
Okay.
We paid in 1803 $15 million, or 3 cents per acre. 3 cents.
Having flashbacks to multiple choice
3 cents per acre.
History tests.
And we bought it from who's the ruler at the time of France? Named the most
Napoleon.
That is correct. Bought it from Napoleon Bonaparte. And our president at the time was Thomas Jefferson. Anyway, so we bought it. You can buy property. We bought that. We bought the Virgin Islands. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, we bought the islands of St. Croix, St. Thomas, and
St. John?
St. John. And guess where we got those from?
Who did we get those
Denmark.
from? Denmark?
Denmark.
Okay.
And Denmark is the controller on Greenland. So we bought them from Denmark. $25 million in gold we paid in 1917.
Why did we buy them?
Strategic military reasons.
So
World War I.
The same
Ports, things like that.
Same thing we're looking at now.
Yep.
With Greenland.
So that was it, 20. And then what else? We bought Alaska, we bought Alaska. It was in about 160 years ago. 1867, Secretary of State William Seward said, hey, we just bought Alaska. Let's look at some other stuff that we could buy. And guess what else they were looking at buying at that time from Denmark?
Greenland?
Yes. So it's not the first time that we've thought of buying Greenland. Now, Greenland has said we're not for sale. We're not for sale, but we are open for business. Okay. You say, what does that mean? We're open for business. We're not for sale. Think about this. First, there are only 57,000 people that live on Greenland. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I'm going to put a pin in that for a second. Do you know how Greenland got its name?
No.
Now, Greenland and Iceland were named at the same time, as I recall. So Greenland and Iceland, how did they get their names? Is any of this interesting?
Yeah.
Vikings named Greenland and Iceland to attract settlers. You'll remember, Lauren, from your studies, was Eric the Red.
I wish I remembered all of
That
this.
named Greenland Greenland. You know why? As a marketing tactic.
Okay.
He wanted to entice people to colonize the less desirable land. The less desirable land was named Greenland. The more desirable land that is not as icy was named Iceland. Isn't that weird?
That's crazy.
So he wanted to bring people over to Greenland and have them settle there. It was a naming strategy, and they were trying to contrast the icy image of Greenland with the icy reality of Iceland to encourage people to settle in Greenland. But but it was not right. It was just marketing. So that's the way it worked. Isn't that weird?
So things aren't that different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Lies. Iceland is the more desirable. Greenland is the less desirable. Greenland is more icy. Iceland is more green. It was all marketing. Isn't that weird? Anyway. Okay, so the three ways that you can get land. You acquire it. You can steal it or take it or conquer it. You can be invited to take it. It will be given to you. Or you can buy it. We're not for sale. We're open for business. If, for example, and this really goes back to Venezuela. Go back to the 1920s in Venezuela. Venezuela, we talked before about Venezuela. The whole country is sleeping on the waterbed of oil. The whole country is on top of oil, big oil reserves.
Right.
They have no technology. They're still agrarian. They're planting stuff, picking stuff. That's it. They don't know. Well, if they were open for business but not for sale, they would say, okay, hey, Exxon, would you come down and help us? You have technologies. You know how to do this. We found out we have oil here. Would you do it? Okay, we're open for, we have an agreement here.
Right.
And you come in and you profit, we profit. Our country is better. Everything's better. And that's how that sort of began in Venezuela. Nobody went down and bought it. Nobody conquered it, but they were open for business. If Greenland, and they have some rare earth minerals there, we would have maybe a reason geographically we would want to expand ourselves. It doesn't mean they'll become a state or anything like that. So the Danish are saying, yeah, we don't want to do that. Trump is saying, yeah, but we really want to do it. But I just want to make the point that it's not the first time that we've talked about that the country has talked about having Greenland. It's not the first time that the Danes have been asked, should we buy you? And it was Seward. Right after we bought Alaska, Seward said, maybe we should go after Greenland. So back to Secretary of State William Seward. It's 1867, and we have just completed the purchase of Alaska. They called it the Arctic expansion or something like that. Arctic. It was an Arctic expansion. So we had gone from east to west as part of Manifest Destiny and kind of ended up there at the ocean. And then what do we do now? Well, let's go up a little bit. And we bought Alaska and then wanted to buy Greenland. But we didn't buy Greenland. But it's not the first time that America has wanted to have Greenland. But nobody should worry that we're going to go to war for Greenland. We're not going to steal Greenland. If the people of Greenland are against it, they could secede from the Danes. They could say, we don't want to be part of Denmark anymore. By the way, we have listeners in Denmark.
You mentioned rare earth minerals, but that's not the main reason that the president is talking about Greenland right now, is it?
No, it's national security. And it's not just, you think, well, wait a minute, what are we going to do? Build a bunch of bases up there? So much of that is covered? No. The point is, if we have it, nobody else has it. I assume that if we could get some understanding that would never be a risk, we wouldn't have an interest. But President Trump, for whatever reason, believes that, we don't want to take that risk. So the U.S., since 1847, since we got Alaska, we have seen that Greenland also could be a challenge if somebody else has it. Think about Russia and Alaska. Maybe that's the best way to say it. Which, by the way, we bought Alaska, as I recall, from Russia. If Russia was right there, you know how close that is to the contiguous United States?
Pretty close.
Really close, right? And it's bumping right up against Canada. Canada would not want to have that access to itself by Russia. So we secured that. And same thing we might want to do here with Greenland. This will sound crazy, but it'll make sense to about 4 people. It's like playing the game Risk. when you get control of North America, you do make sure you also have control of Greenland and Alaska, because they are entry points to your continent.
If I ever play, I will hold on to that.
Remember that.
Knowledge, yeah.
All right. Okay, class dismissed. It's time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
The Wilder Show Scattershoot. All right.
Happy Quitters Day.
Hey, yeah.
It's January 9th.
Way to go, everybody.
Yeah.
Look, can I just say one thing to the quitters? Because this all has to do with having made New Year's resolutions, and then we come to this day, and this is National Quitters Day.
The second Friday in January is traditionally the time when most of us have let go of all of the resolutions or the positive changes we were going to make in our lives in the new year.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing. You gave it a shot. So,
listen, I went last night to pick up a pizza. It was for my mother. I did eat some pizza, but my mother wanted pizza, so I stopped to get pizza. And where I stopped to get pizza, it was in a strip center with a giant Planet Fitness that is full of windows, so you can see at the Planet Fitness. It was about 6:15, maybe 6:30 in dinner time, just past dinner time. And this place was hopping. I mean, there were people on all of the machines. It was packed. The parking lot overflowing, people all over the place inside the Planet Fitness. And I thought, wouldn't it be a kind of interesting social experiment to go by next week at the same time and just see what it looks like then? And then, because you couldn't trust just any then go back in another week, or maybe go back the next day. Just take a look and see how accurate that Quitters Day thing actually is.
You know, those places don't care if you stop coming.
No.
They don't care if you stop coming.
No.
In fact, I think they maybe rent out more equipment early January.
Yeah.
And then by really March, they can move a lot of that equipment out or out of the way. But what they really don't want is for you to cancel the payment. They want you to be a sustaining giver.
Well, and I think for a lot of people too, you hang on to that membership, even if it's something that's cancelable. You hold on to it because, and I say you, I mean, who am I talking about? I'm talking about myself and the way I've behaved about things like this in the past. If you hold on to it because it says you're telling yourself, well, I'll go back. It's just I've just gotten really busy, and I'm going to keep. If I keep on paying for it, that will motivate me.
That's right.
To go back.
And if I cancel it, then I can't just go back whenever I want to.
Yeah.
And I want to go back whenever I want to.
Yeah.
The problem is you never want to.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you do.
Sometimes you do.
That'd be good. Maybe this is a different year.
Yeah.
I'm just going to declare. I'm not going to say manifest. I'm just going to say that this will be a different year. Whatever you have decided, you'll do it longer than just today, even if you only make it until a few more weeks.
Right. So happy Quitters Day to all who celebrate.
Day.
There's no shame.
You all quitters.
No shame. You can start again tomorrow.
Bunch of quitters.
Yeah. So the reason I was picking up that pizza was because twice a year I help my mom with a particular task.
Oh, what is that?
In December or November, we take out all of her Christmas decorations and I help her put up the tree. And then in January, we take it all down and pack it up again. On both of those two occasions, I spend time in the closet of what was my bedroom when I was growing up.
Wow.
Because that's where she happens to store, along with my old yearbooks and some things that are still in the closet 40 years after I've moved out of her house. It's mostly her stuff. There's just a little bit of my stuff, but it's mostly her stuff. Every time I'm in that closet, though, it occurs to me, we lived in that house from the time I was 14 until the time I was 22. I always consider that was the biggest house I ever lived in. We lived in, it was the first house my parents ever owned. It was the only house my parents ever owned. They had rented until we moved into that house here in Texas. When we moved to Texas, they bought a house for the first time. It's not a big house, but in that bedroom, I had a big walk-in closet. I've never had a closet that big. I mean, we marveled having moved here and moving into that home out of the apartment that we lived in Minneapolis. It was small. I mean, my sister and I had our own bedrooms for the first time. None of us. This was a house that was built in the late 70s. So this was when walk-in closets and things like that and bigger homes were becoming sort of the norm. Yeah. A bedroom for every kid in the family was becoming a little bit normal, at least in certain parts of the country. Every time I'm in that closet, I think it never even occurred to me that this would be the biggest closet I would ever have, because then later on moved into a home that was built in the 50s, smaller home.
Closets.
At the time, didn't know that I would be in it potentially forever, at least until now. And it's much smaller. So when my kids were growing up in that smaller house, I always thought, I tried to look at 3 kids in sort of in a smallish home. And I thought there's got to be something. I think there's something really good about this. Looked at a lot of all of their, at all of their friends in their much larger homes where all the kids had their own bedrooms. My kids shared bedrooms. And I thought, I think that this is good. I think that this is better for us. And now it turns out that is true. Smaller homes could lead to happier lives.
Let me say that I like that too. I liked it. My kids grew up in a modest-sized home. Smallish home.
Yep.
And when I grew up, it was a bit of a bigger home as a kid in my late teen days. But I liked, this will sound silly, I think, but you could call it cozy. Some people call it cramped. But I always felt like I don't want a home so big that you don't bump into the people.
That's exactly right.
I like it. I like the fact that you don't have to yell and shout. You say a person's name and they can hear you in the kind of home size that I'm used to, and the size that I sort of am most drawn to.
In the last few decades, the size of the average American home has doubled, but the people living in them aren't any happier. The average newly built American home includes more than 940 square feet per person. That's up from 550 square feet in 1973. And you might wonder about the math there. The reason that works out the way it does is because we have fewer people living in those homes now. Right. It's fallen to a record low of 2.5 people per home, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. And what researchers have found is that we're not really good at knowing what's going to make us happy.
That's true.
We look at a bigger home. I mean, don't you see this in so many neighborhoods now when these smaller homes get demolished and then this giant house is built up? Yeah. And we think that the size is going to make us happier. And this is going to sound really dumb, but we don't necessarily put that together with the fact it's going to cost more.
Yeah, more than everything.
More just to own. It's going to cost more for the upkeep. Everything is going to cost more. And the relationships with the people inside that home that are really the things that are going to make us happy are not improved on at all by the size of the home that you put them in.
You were saying that we don't really know what it is that will make us happy. I think we do. It's what somebody else has. It's like if somebody else has it, that's what I want. And I think sometimes that's what leads to that escalation. It's the old thing we've talked about. The only way to win is not to play.
Yeah.
That if you get in that game, the rat race, where we spend money we don't have on things we don't need to impress people we don't care about, it never ends. And so I was sort of kidding, but a lot of people decide what will make me happy of what I don't have. What I don't have and what you have is how I determine what makes me happy.
And that thing that you mentioned, having what somebody else has, that might make people happy for a brief period of time. People who move into larger homes report like a spike in happiness. But it's sort of like, wherever you go, there you are,
Yeah, right.
you take yourself
Right.
to, if kind of, if you're the problem, you're going to take yourself
right.
wherever you go. So what makes us happy? Happiness for most of us is other people. Social scientists call it the inverted U. Do you remember the parabola?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what that looks like. It's like there's this on the parabola, that is what makes us happy in terms of where we live. On one side, social scientists see that living alone or maybe with only one other person can promote isolation or loneliness. But then on the other, excessive crowding. So when the people it's not, you don't necessarily want a crowded house. 14 people in a 500 square foot home is not going to make you happier just because there are more people in there. But they say excessive crowding is about 140 square feet per person. That can lead to stress and anxiety and depression.
That's
so
too
happiness
crowded.
peaks somewhere right in the middle. A bustling household, though, strengthens the emotional bonds between family members, creating a loving, resilient sort of shock absorber for life's challenges. And sometimes that even compensates for a smaller home. If you're a little bit crowded in your home and that feels like a stressor, sometimes that little bit of crowding, like it says, is kind of be a shock absorber for when you hear people talk about, more kids. There was always somebody to play with. There was always somebody to talk to. That's not necessarily that you had more kids. It just means that you were spending time around each other. You don't have to have 9 kids to make that happen. You might just be in a place where you're spending time in common areas because not everybody has their own bedroom in a separate wing.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times when my kids were growing up and people around us did have larger homes, I kind of wanted it to be a good thing, but there was a part of me that sort of felt like, are we missing out on something by them not all having their? I didn't think so, but I think you can't help but wonder. So don't beat yourself up for stuff like that. It can work out for the better.
When of course we had 3 boys close in a row, fairly close in a row. My sister after that, but I contrast what I'm about to say with what I think people think they would like. They'd like to have a movie room where everyone has a big chair with a cup holder and a place to put your phone that charges and all the things. So everybody has their own chair. Well, when you grow up in a house where there's one recliner, and if the dad's in the room, he's sitting.
He's in the recliner.
That's right.
Yeah.
If he's not, it's sort of open game.
Yeah.
And not everybody can sit at that chair at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it kind of bred a little competition and things like that. Who gets to, nobody get my chair, nobody get my seat. When you get up to go to get a drink of water, if you don't say that, you could have your seat taken by an opponent who is your brother and can take it away. And you can't claim a seat until everyone is in the room. So you wait for everyone to be in the room before you claim your seat. Little silly games you play.
You're just waiting for that last person to drop their foot on the other side of the doorway.
And in fact, I know someone very well who thought that was sort of an interesting thing. And so they got up early before anyone else and hid behind one of the chairs. So when the other 2 got in the room, they thought they were waiting on one more person. But in fact, that person, whoever it is, that was hiding behind the chair could immediately stand up and claim
so much effort
his
went
property.
into that.
This is what happens in a small house.
I guess so. And that's not to say that if you live in a big house and everybody does have their own space, there's nothing wrong with that. The point of it is, it's about who you're with, the relationships that you have and build with the people that you're with. And that's going to take effort probably wherever you are.
Sure.
Something else that I heard about last week, and this was all over the news. I can't believe that you didn't hear about it.
Tell me.
Maybe you did. You're gonna hate it.
Oh, good. I love things I hate.
That's why I'm kind of surprised I didn't hear about it.
I love things I hate.
I think that you would have mentioned it.
Tell me.
Did you hear about the little girl who wanted to change her name? 6 years old.
Okay, hold on.
For her 6th birthday.
Okay, for her 6th birthday.
Yeah. So let me go back just a little bit. A mom announced on social media, and then you heard about it on the Today Show and several other places too, that for her 6th birthday, they're going to be giving their daughter the gift of a legal name change.
Oh, great. So at 6, what would she like her name changed to?
So she was born, she was given the name Margaret after her great-grandmother at birth.
Okay.
But from the time she was old enough to talk, anytime somebody called her Margaret, she said, "No, I'm Maisie." Maisie. Can't
Maisie just be her, or like a nickname?
Well, that's what I would think.
How about a nickname?
That's what I would think.
How about parents of a child?
There's a mother and a father, and they're both behind it.
28 years old.
They said, no, they're in their, I think they're in their early 30s.
The 6-year-old is
They said, so even if you have a nickname, you're going to be called by that name when you're at the doctor's office, or every year that there's a...
She don't want to be called Margaret.
She don't want to be called Margaret. Every time she's only in 2nd grade, so this can't have happened twice. A whole lot. But every time you go in for a new school year, they're going to call you by your given name. And the mom said she didn't respond to that name, and the mom, had to, send a little note to the teacher. Could you call her Maisie? They were all tired of that.
The parents were tired of going through that.
Parents were tired of going through that. Right. And the little girl, more than anything in the world, more than any toy or anything else, your traditional 6-year-old might be given for her birthday. They told her that they were going to change her name legally to, I think her name was Margaret Olivia.
Are they keeping the last name?
Now, yeah, they're keeping her last name. Now it's going to be Maisie Margaret Olivia. Maisie Margaret Olivia. So she's keeping the tribute to her great-grandmother, but her name is being legally changed to Maisie. Okay, when I was in 2nd grade, which is about the same age, we had just moved to a new state, and my name obviously was and is Lauren. I didn't like that. Nobody else was named Lauren at the time. And the Partridge Family was one of my favorite shows. They had a daughter named Lori.
They sure did.
So in 2nd grade, when I was new, I didn't have any. I was going in brand new. I told all of my teachers. At the time, it was probably one teacher.
You preferred Lori.
That I wanted to be called Lori.
Really?
Wrote Lori on, didn't care what my parents wanted. And they never stopped. I mean, they only called me
by your
Lauren.
name.
My family only ever called me Lauren. I had one aunt who called me Lori.
How funny.
But all my friends that I started making at that point called me Lori. I was Lori all the way until the time I went to college.
That's funny.
But we never changed. I mean, it wasn't at the beginning of every school year. I just said I go by Lori. But everything else, I mean, my driver's license when I got one said Lauren. When I went to the doctor, I lived through the trauma of them calling me Lauren knowing that was really my name, even if that wasn't what I wanted to go by. But when I went to college, I changed it back.
Why talk about that? Why did you change it back? I mean, you had as a young person, you had decided I'm not going to be called what my parents called me. Name me. I'm going to be called something else.
Yeah, it didn't really. Yeah,
but it's obviously it's almost the same name. I mean, it's not like you were really changing it to something radically different. It was a nickname. Yeah,
yeah, it was a nickname.
So you wanted to go by your name, not your nickname.
I didn't like Lauren. Nobody else was called Lauren. Everybody else at the time, it seemed like was Debbie, Kathy, Susie, Katie, all and I wanted a name like that. I have
Lori.
no idea why.
Lori, how funny.
Beyond that, I just wanted to be like the other girls. And by the time I was 18 and going to college, then I felt better about not being like all of the other girls.
Right.
And then by that point, I liked that I was the only one who had that name. Now, fast forward 10 or 15 more years, and then 5 out of every 10 kindergartners was named Lauren. It just grew in popularity. Yeah. But we never. No, my parents would have said, "Are you crazy?" If I just stopped responding,
right? Yeah, that's silly.
To my name when they called me that.
There are all kinds of challenges.
Yeah.
When parents, I mean, we talked about gentle parenting before. I'm not saying you have to force your child to have a name that she hates. I'm not saying that. She don't be called Maggie. I'd be called Maggie. Her name is Margaret. Call her Maggie. Or call her Maisie. It doesn't matter. But it's her name. We're not changing your name.
Yeah.
That's your great-grandmother's name. We're not changing it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. When you're 19, if you still want to change the name, we'll change it. But we'll call you anything you want to be called. But we're not going to change your name.
Yeah.
That's what some parents, olden time parents, non-negotiable type parents would say. That's what I would say.
Yeah. This is going to build character.
Yeah,
Every year when they call you Margaret on the first day of school, you can tell them, I go by.
What was her middle name? Remind me her middle name.
Olivia.
Olivia. Okay. Hey, Olivia. She go with Livy. Anyway, look, but you
but
don't.
The point is, she didn't want to be called Livy. She didn't want to be called Maggie. She wanted to be called Maisie.
Yeah. Well, when we don't let 6-year-olds decide, those things. So I'm sorry about that, baby. But we're going to go differently. I have my name is Scott, and I never really had a nickname.
They never called you Scotty? People call you Scotty now.
I've had some people call me Scotty.
I know grown men who call you Scotty.
I know, one guy for sure. Hey, Scotty. And I've Scooter. I've been called Scooter before, but I didn't really have a nickname.
Yeah.
I never even thought about it.
I never even contemplated anything different.
Here's the thing. I'm 64, and I haven't thought about it. The 6-year-old girl has a conviction about it at 6.
That is pretty funny.
It's almost like saying, I started thinking about this when I was 4. And then it really
all my life it's been.
All my life. It gained momentum about day 1500 of my life. And here I was as a 5-year-old, and I said, I'm just not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm Maisie. Yeah. That's silly.
Her parents
I don't
said
like that.
It suits her.
Whatever.
She's amazing.
It suits her. Okay, well, wait until the next thing. Wait till the next thing she wants to change.
What if in 2 years she feels like somebody else?
What if she doesn't want to just change her name?
Well,
you let me change my name when I was 6. Here's what I want to do now. What if I want to do this? What if all my friends have belly button rings? What? Listen, grow.
I just really feel like I should have a belly button.
That's
ring.
right.
I feel like it's supposed to be there.
Get your big boy pants on, parents, and just be the parents. What does her 4-year-old little brother want to be called?
I think so far he's okay with his name. There is a brother.
Oh, is it a younger brother? Oh, so the older brother's got to be looking and going, hey, listen, I wanted this and I didn't get this. You're let her change her name? Yeah, that's a terrible.
The older brother's saying, all I wanted was a bike.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, this craziness of, it's like, I knew you loved her more. I wanted a bike. I couldn't get a bicycle. You're letting her change her name. You're going to pay money to have her name changed. It's a terrible lesson for the other kids, the other people in the family. They go, wouldn't that always be the trump card?
You would think so.
I only want this. Look,
who knows
you let her change her name. Why can't I go skiing for spring break? That is the Wilder Show podcast. If you haven't liked it yet for this episode, even if you've done it before, do it every time, really seriously. And subscribe if you would. Follow, share, like, rate, and send it to a friend. Comment. That comment makes a difference too. We'll try and always respond to that. Instagram, you find us on Instagram at Wilder Show Pod is what you search. If you want to send us email, it's podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube. On the TikTok now and again. So wherever you get your podcasts, please like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. Happy Quitters Day, Lauren.
Happy Quitters Day to you.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.